Elio guys, and welcome back. And in today's video we're taking another visit at Bulbie because I just realized Bulbie had her rebirth not too long ago, which was last month, and I've been super busy, but things are dying down for me, so I can hopefully get back to the same old here. But yeah, she came back last month. Hopefully you guys had gotten her then, and if not, this will definitely serve as a kind of stepping stone in the future if you end up pulling a light and dark Bulbie here. But my first review on her was from 2018 according to YouTube, like August 1st, 2018, so she has been updated, which is why I'm redoing this review here. But yeah, we do have the lovely fire one shown right here. She's the tank type, and she's also a Nat 3, coming in hot with 33k HP, 1.8k attack, and then 1.8k defense as well. So stats are dirt nasty low, which obviously makes sense here, but let's go and take a look at these skills. So she does have the variant skill Firm Resolve, which kind of boosts up your allies' resistance. This is very lackluster, especially as you get deeper and deeper into the game. But if you just began the game, it really doesn't matter because your mons won't be strong enough to be able to do anything anyway, so it doesn't matter here. But a lot of units already push max resist 100% no problem. But this leader skill in particular, especially on the higher end of things or deeper into MSO as you get, is just like gag me with a machete, man. But anyways, we do have her skills here, and she is also AoE, so that's very important. But for her 3-star skill, she has a 70% chance to stun the enemy for 1 turn, and then for the 5-star skill, she has Thirst, which grants a 60% chance to reduce the target skill gauge by 30% for 2 turns. Not a super big fan of Thirst just because it is a passive debuff and not necessarily an active one. Like, it sticks, but you don't really see the benefit of it until, you know, a turn later, which a turn later, my entire squad could have been RIP, so I'm not sure if I'm really down with that here. But we can tell that her kit is just purely based on crowd control action. But take a look at the books though, it does look like Stun receives a 15% damage boost and goes up to a whopping, what is that, 80% for 1 turn? Yikers. Thirst also receives a 10% damage boost and gets a higher activation rate, which bumps it up to 80%, I believe, for the 2 turns. But once again, this is just very lackluster. At this point in time, if you end up building her, it should have been for the Astro Guide only, because there's just literally no application for this unit that you can't get anywhere else already. Alright, then moving forward, we do have Water Bulbie here, who is an attacker type, coming in with 22k HP. 3.3k attack, and then 2.3k defense. My only complaint, even though she is in that 3, is that HP stat is a little bit low, but her attack definitely makes up for it. But let's go and take a look at these lovely skills. So for her 3-star skill, she has Shield Breaker, which is very important, especially for those trying to kind of break into Colossus. This is where I would recommend using her, because I do believe my Casualty account, which is my secondary account, uses her for the Colossus that proxy shield up. I can't really think of the element right now, but whatever one that does his shield, I always bring her in there, because if my DPS from the first wave can't take him out because of bad RNG, the second wave he's going to have that shield up. She goes in there, she breaks it, congratulations, he's gone. And then for the 5-star skill, she does have Unflinching Strike. Now, if you're new to the game, this may be a move that you don't really see that often, and that's because it's just not very good. It is literally Courageous Strike, but the Great Value Walmart version of it. It's the version that you don't want to buy Great Value. Like, there's certain products that you can buy and get away with it being Great Value, but there's other products where it just hits different, and this move hits entirely different. So, you know, you could build her for Titans if you wanted to. Am I going to judge you? Probably, because you may be better off just having no Courageous Striker even than bringing in this lovely Unflinching Striker with her subpar HP stat. But if you need it, especially for attacking enemies with a decent amount of HP up there, it could work. It's just not really optimal, is what I'm trying to get at here. Taking a look at the skill books though, they are simple and clean, man. Shield Breaker receives a 30% damage increase, and then Unflinching Strike also receives a 25% damage increase. So there's really no reason why not to skill book her if you're going to use her anyways, just because more damage is more damage, and she's very niche anyways. And as a Nat 3, the books are easily accessible because I'm sitting at 387 books for her. But yeah, that's pretty much her only usage that I can think of. I mean, could you possibly bring her in the Apophis dungeon? Possibly. Is she going to do a very good job? No, but considering that you have 3 freaking teams of slots that you need to fill, well, especially as a newer player or kind of even a early to mid game player, she could definitely fill a slot, especially on the earlier parts of his rotations. But yeah, that is Water Bulbie in a nutshell. And then coming in hot after that, we do have the Wood Bulbie, who is a balanced type. She's coming in with 27k HP, 2.2k attack, and then a lovely 2.3k defense. Once again, Nat 3, it is what it is. She can hopefully do something, I would hope. But let's see the skills first before I say that. So for the 3-star skill, she has Sap, which is, I believe that indicates it's only a one-time Sap. Ooh, that is quite disrespectful. 60% chance for one type of sap, or one type of sap, shall I say, for English, for 2 turns? No, thank you. Then she does have Buff Breaker on the 5-star skill. So, I mean, if you didn't have any type of buff breakers to bring in the Apophis dungeon, I guess this could work. Though I wouldn't really recommend it whatsoever because full Buff Breaker exists. And if you don't have like a Fire Zeus, for example, you could hopefully pull a Fire Glinda or someone else of that nature with full Buff Breaker. Even what the freaking Gingerbread Cookie Boy has that. This is very archaic at this point in time here. So Smart Study is kind of making it very difficult for me to recommend any usage for the lovely Nat 3 versions of Bulbie, which I don't know why they do that, because C-Star, for example, is a great usable mon, even though she's only a Nat 3, and her Nat 4 versions are also usable. In this case right here, it seems like Light and Dark may be the only real usable ones. But let's take a look at the skill book. So, looks like Sap receives a 10% damage boost, and then we do see a increase to 90% for the one-time Sap per 2 turns, which is just gross. And then also Buff Breaker receives a 30% damage increase too. Honestly, build it for the Astro Guide. Go ahead and release her, get your essence, and never look back, because this is just downright disrespectful. Alright, moving forward, we're finally getting to the thick of it, you guys. We do have Light Bulbie here, who is a defender type, and she's coming in with 32k HP, 2k attack, and then 3.1k defense. Finally, some stats I am definitely satisfied with, and I do believe in the past, before her rework, which also kind of prompted me to remake this video, especially with her recent rebirth, she was like double recovery down or something like that. It was something for Colossus, but it didn't really make sense because I believe you could kind of just DPS the Colossus down, and it was like, yeah, why am I using you outside of maybe a bizarre clan versus clan / PvP situation? But now they tweaked her. She is a very smiley face unit to have, especially if you don't have other mons like, I want to say, Light Neza to compare up against. But taking a look at her skills right here, for her 3-star skill, she has Weaken, which grants her 60% chance to weaken the enemy's defense and attack for 2 turns. This isn't obviously as potent as attack down and defense down, but it does synergize very nicely with those moves as well to make sure you can kind of decrease the attack as much as possible, especially in terms of Titans. So don't be sleeping on Weaken. If you are, well, I can guarantee your Titan damage is probably garbage. And then for the 5-star skill, there's Blind, 70% chance to blind the enemy for 2 turns. And the thing too with Blind is that once a foe is blinded, they do receive a reduction in their critical hit rate and damage, which is especially lovely for a lovely Titan by the name of Light Titan. So he could definitely benefit from having that blind debuff on him to kind of protect Dark Enders if you have him, or any other Dark Courageous Striker just in general here. But for books, it looks like Weaken goes up in terms of damage by 20%, and then it goes up to, what is that, 70% chance for 2 turns? I mean, that's fair as a rebirth mon. And then Blind also receives a 15% damage boost, and looks like it goes up to 80% chance for 3 turns. Pretty fair for a mon that's pretty much accessible to everyone right there. I will say that for sure. Let me take a look at Neza though, if I can find her real quickly to see what the swap was, if there was any swap whatsoever. Alright, so there's Neza. Neza has Blind and Weaken on her skill, so her skill kit is completely swapped versus Bulbie, which in this scenario here, I mean, depending on timings as well, I guess you could, if you had like a Light Neza and a Light Bulbie, you could pair those guys up with like 1 lane for, you know, a Bulbie, and then 1 lane for the Neza, if that makes any sense, because you just have to use what you have. I luckily do have 2 Light Nezas, who I believe does have better stats. Well, she has a lot more HP than Bulbie, but her defense is still kind of dirt nasty low. But still, once again, very usable unit for sure. Actually, it looks like Bulbie's stats are honestly a bit better with that added defense. She does lose some HP, but that defense stat is like quite thick. But yeah, that's pretty much Bulbie's predominant use I would recommend for you guys. If you need help with weaken, especially in other scenarios like Colossus, once again you could kind of slide her into there. But outside of that, yeah, I'm pretty much drawing blanks of where else we could use her at. So if you guys are using like Bulbie in a non-Titan / Colossus situation, feel free to let me know in the comments below, because that could definitely help other players. And my problem is that I get tunnel vision because I already have so many astromon that kind of replace other astromon, where, you know, I would never think about using X astromon in X situation, because I technically have the better version of the astromon already, because I've been playing the game for 3,000 years. And then last, and hopefully least, is going to be Dark Bulbie, who is an attacker type as well. Lovely Darkmon, so she does have that additional crit damage built into her. But she's coming in with 24k HP, 3.3k attack, nearly 3.4k, and then 2.3k defense. Okay. Decent stat distribution once again. I'm very happy that they didn't do Light and Dark Bulbie very dirty in terms of their stats, even though their design is something else I will leave for a different video here. But for her 3 and 5-star skill both is Exposed Weakness, where she has X amount of chance to apply this debuff to the enemy, and if that debuff is applied to an enemy, if you have a hard-hitting mon, say for instance like Dark Indra, to hit them, they're going to do even more damage. So this is a very free and easy way to get a lot of damage out of your units, even though you might not have that many of them. So don't be sleeping on Exposed Weakness, especially if you're newer to the game. But let's take a look at these skill books. So the 3-star version receives a 15% damage boost and goes up to 80% for 2 turns. And then the 5-star version receives a 20% damage boost and also goes up to a lovely 100% chance for 2 turns. So solid books. Once again, she's a Nat 4, so these books should definitely be easily accessible because she does have her Nat 3 counterparts. And I was using her at some point in time for Colossus back in the day because I needed to get some damage off from my Courageous Strikers, but I didn't really have enough to kind of mitigate, you know, not bringing her in there. So she is definitely useful, especially for beginner players out there trying to do some decent amount of damage, but she does kind of fall off later on because you just get better choices and better astromon, especially depending on how things change with the game, because Light Sherlock was like one of the best Exposed Weakness mons out there, but they've been gradually kind of introducing other Exposed Weakness mons into the pot, like the lovely Water Cura, to where like every element has Exposed Weakness now. So it's definitely not as niche as it was before. However, even though she's a dark type with a 3.3k attack stat, you have to remember Exposed Weakness honestly doesn't bring damage to the table in itself. So even if you build her DPS orientated, it kind of doesn't make sense because there's no way she can benefit from her own Exposed Weakness unless she's literally the only astromon on the field doing damage here. But to wrap things up, I will say that probably Light Bulbie is going to be the top tier Bulbie to keep if you guys were lucky enough to gather her from her most recent rebirth. Dark does have its uses as well, but once again, other Exposed Weakness mons exist, and Water Cure, for example, does have the lovely attack up and a very, very good leader skill to pair up with her, versus just having double Exposed Weakness on a Darkmon who is already just naturally frail. In terms of the RGB, absolute Astro Guide fodder, and that's pretty much it, you guys. So I would only recommend Light Bulbie in this case, and the rest for the guide, or if you need the dark one, depending on your account situation. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the Bulbie update. I'm glad to have this rolled out, so this information for her is a lot more relevant for you guys. If there's any other videos or any other astromon reviews you guys want done, feel free to leave those in the comments below, and I will get to them as soon as possible. But I definitely hope you guys enjoyed, and hopefully I'll be seeing you guys in the next one. Peace out.